Hey, VC, what's up? It's me, yours truly. Actually, back to post a finds video, something I haven't done in quite some time. Um, yeah, I did the video a couple days ago, just kind of doing a tour of my kind of main music slash listening area. I'm actually sitting in the other one now, but again, I'll do a video tour of this room like next time or something like that. And this time, I'm just going to kind of do a good old fashioned finds video. Now, granted, I haven't, done one in about a year or so, so, there's been stuff. But what I basically did was just kind of looked at my in rotation bin and stuff I had pulled out and everything that I don't think I've ever shown, I haven't shown in the past year, and just thought I would share with you recent finds. So let's just kind of jump right into it. And as always, I mean, for those of you that have seen my videos in the past and kind of know me, you know that my musical taste, especially when it comes to genres and things I like, are really kind of all over the place. And so I think you'll kind of experience the same thing with these particular finds here. So let's start off here, actually what's playing in the background. I think the name of this group is called Vampilla. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. This was I'm not gonna say blind buy because I actually listened to it before I bought it, but there's a half price of books that I visit quite a bit. Most of the time, just kind of browse through, and there's nothing there, but just to kind of be in the atmosphere or whatever. But every now and then they'll go through and kind of do these big markdowns. They'll take a lot of new vinyl and mark stuff from $24 to $5.99 and $4.99 and things like that. And they do it a lot of times with bands that I'm not that familiar with. And so this was one of them. It was marked down, I think, to $4.99 from $22.99. And so I was like, well, let me check this out. And I went in the back with a few LPs and just kind of, pull up some stuff on my phone and listen to it. And I was like, that's some good freaking stuff. So, again, that's kind of my introduction to Vampilla. I don't know about the rest of their catalog. This particular album really has a good mixture between stuff like this that sounds almost like it has almost like a classical orchestral feel to it, and then some other stuff that almost starts to get on the verge of feeling sludge-ish, I guess. But just kind of really some good instrumental stuff. Just kind of, you can tell people just kind of playing around and creating music type of thing. So that was a really good introduction to this band. Another one here I just picked up a few days ago. I've been wanting a copy of this for quite some time. Ohio Players, Fire, of course, one of the classic old school funk albums right there. Yeah, I've been wanting one of these for quite some time, and I had one before and I got rid of it because it wasn't in the best condition when I cleaned out my collection, and just hadn't stumbled across one of these at a good price. And so I finally found one the other day for $4 at a record shop in a town nearby where I work sometimes, and so that was a great pickup to get a near mint copy of that back in my collection. I have been putting a lot of focus on a lot of synth pop and funk stuff over the past maybe 3 or 4 months. Just kind of been something I've really gotten into for some reason. Well, not for some reason, it's good stuff, but it's kind of what I've been into recently. And actually, here's another good example of that. Kristen Controls. And the name of this album is Excommunicate. And again, this was an album that a store owner, old friend of mine, kind of recommended. I heard 1 or 2 tracks in the store, thought it sounded pretty cool, got it, brought it home, and really discovered I really do love the album. But yeah, it's definitely just kind of a synth pop type thing. At least that's how I categorize it. So if I were recommending songs to check out on this album, Show Me, probably one of the best songs on the album. But my favorite song on the album is Wanna Be. I think is probably the best track on here. Really, really cool stuff. So I love that album cover. Simplicity in it makes it pretty cool. And then Youth Lagoon. Again, kind of going back to some of the more synthy type stuff that I've been into the last few months, or last really say year or so. But that's another great one. And here was a good one that was actually reissued on Record Store Day, which I didn't realize till just recently, In This Moment. I mean, talk about a band that needs to have more of their stuff issued on vinyl. It's In This Moment. So this was their third album, I believe, A Star-Crossed Wasteland. I mean, really great album. I really wish they would issue their first album, which is called Beautiful Tragedy. Hands down, their best album without question. I wish they would release that one on vinyl, because that would literally make me jump for joy. Man, if I, I'm trying to put this. If I had like my wish list of 10 albums that would be pressed on vinyl that have not been pressed on vinyl, In This Moment's debut album would be one of them. And then of course we throw in some Jillian Welch stuff there, we throw in some Godsmack stuff there, on and on and on. But anyway, yeah, Godsmack's Awake, that's one I would want. Well, actually Awake, Godsmack 4, and Faceless, I want all those on vinyl. But that's another video. But yeah, I mean, really great group. I first saw them, discovered them when I went to see Rob Zombie. They opened for him, completely blew me away. Been a huge fan ever since. So if you check out this album, best two songs I think are probably The Gun Show, the opening track, and then The Road. I think it's another really good album on here. But you know, I think right after this album they had a split where a couple of them went this way, a few went that way, and the lead singer, who's really kind of the face of the band, you know, she still is in the band called In This Moment, but they're not quite on the same level as this lineup was, especially going back to that first album. I mean, it was just kind of palm muted metal up your, you know, it was just really good stuff. So if you're not familiar with that band and want to check them out, again, check out Beautiful Tragedy first. That's the album you want to check out. Another good pickup here, Jerry Lee Lewis. I've been wanting to get something by him for quite some time, so it was nice to finally pick up a copy of just basically a greatest hits, essential tracks. I mean, I like Jerry Lee Lewis. I'm not like a gigantic fan, but I'm an appreciative fan of Jerry Lee Lewis. When I think about, or if you ask me, like, who are the true godfathers of rock and roll, not just only in the music, but the presentation, the attitude, the just, you know, all things that kind of became rock and roll. There's basically five people that I pick. Jerry Lee Lewis would be one of them. Little Richard, Chuck Berry, Bo Diddley, and then even though I don't necessarily have a single record by this last artist, I have to say Elvis Presley. I'm just not a big Presley fan, but again, he was rock and roll. But so anyways, it was nice to find this one again, one of those markdowns at half price books. I think this was $5.99. So again, a good 2-album pickup to get a little Jerry Lee in my collection. Next album, kind of having some high school flashbacks here. Third Base, Cactus album. You know, and this was one of those ones that really kind of marks a time in your life. I mean, Third Base wasn't exactly, you know, the greatest hip hop group of all time, but you know, it was the fun high school stuff that you had. And the song Gas Face was one that was really big back when I was in high school. So this definitely brings back memories, kind of giving this a spin. So that was a good find. Radiohead, Kid A. So nice that they finally put this out on 12-inch, because I'm not a fan of 10-inch vinyl, so in my Radiohead collection I never picked up a copy of this that was out on the 10-inch for so long. So it was nice to finally pick that up. And here's another new band. Again, one of those half-price books that was marked down from I think $26.99 all the way down to $6. And again, I checked it out in the store and I thought really cool stuff. I think it's Zoroaster. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it, so forgive me if I'm wrong there. But yeah, I checked out a couple tracks in the store, and then about a week or so ago I really listened to the whole thing from front to back on both LPs, and just kind of some really good heavy, like sludgy type stuff. I mean, I liked it a lot. So really good introduction to a new band, which is nice. This is one that I had hoped they would release on vinyl for the longest time. And again, one day just walking through the store and there it is. But a fantastic album. 10,000 Maniacs, Our Time and Eden. With the one and only Natalie Merchant, a voice like no other. So yeah, this is a really, really great to see out on vinyl. And this is a really classic album, so I'm sure many of you are very familiar with it. My favorite two tracks off of here, even though they're probably the most common tracks, if you will, Candy Everybody Wants and These Are Days. I mean, I think both those songs are just amazing. Those are my good summertime songs. Always I've talked about in the past how if there was ever a compilation or mixtape I was making of I'm going to be driving down the highway for the next 2 hours on a nice sunny, summer's day in a convertible with the top down and just kind of enjoying life because the weekend's here and all of that. Those two songs are definitely on that mixtape. So this is definitely kind of a very feel-good album for me. And again, it's Natalie Merchant. Her voice is just amazing. All right, so next we go here to, and I was trying to remember the individuals, and I'm probably going to get it right or wrong, so I'm not going to say it. Ejecta Domain here, this album, and what I was trying to remember was like members of this group's like partnered or collaborated, I should say, and they were members of two other groups that I really liked. I remember reading about it briefly. Now it's totally, I think it was some members from Washed Out and some from Small Black, or I don't know, something like that. But again, kind of the synth pop thing or whatever. So when I heard those two names and heard the groups they were from, I thought, this is an album I better check out, and I liked it. I mean, it kind of held up to about what I expected it to be. So again, check the Domain there. Very cool. Another nice pickup. Another good reissue here, which is nice because this album before the reissue was costing you $100 to get, and now you can get it for $17, $18. But Placebo, Sleeping with Ghost. This was the first album that brought me to Placebo. I have their CD box set too, which is a really good set if you have an opportunity to get your hands on one. But yeah, this was the first album that ever brought me to the band, so this is one that definitely, I just really, really love. The song This Picture was the first song ever heard by Placebo. And not to mention that album cover. I mean, that is it's creative, it's sexy, it's very I don't know, when you also put it in context with the album itself, it's very fitting. So I mean, it's just a really, really cool album cover. A lot of emotions between the music, the artwork there, and everything else, which is really cool. Next here, Gordon Lightfoot. Somebody, I don't know who it was, I was watching a video just like not last night, it's probably like 3 nights ago, and somebody was demoing their system, and they were playing the song, what was it, oh, if You Could Read My Mind by Gordon Lightfoot, and I was listening to it thinking, that is a killer song. I mean, like it was just really good. So I ran out to FYE to see if they had anything, and yeah, in their used bin for $2.99, they had this, Gord's Gold, which is kind of a greatest hits type thing. I was a little hesitant at first because there was a little bit of ringware that was on the cover, but then when I pulled out both the LPs, I mean, they were pretty much mint across the board, and they play mint, which is great too. So I went ahead and picked it up. But so yeah, that was a really good find, and I can't remember whose video that was playing that. All right, last two here, and the 80s lives on. Jane Wildman, formerly of the Go-Go's. I don't know if this was her first solo album or not, but yeah, I had this on CD for quite some time, and again, I stumbled across the vinyl and dollar bin, so had to pick it up. Perfect condition, which was nice. But you know, the song Rush Hour was kind of the big hit off of this. And yes, I still love it. And I love her. I love the Go-Go's. Everything 80s is great. So that's Jane Wildman. And last but not least, Mama's Boys. Another one of those marked down albums. You see here that I think the tag on it says $9.99, but it was marked down to the 40% off of that, which was nice. So another really good pickup. Again, Power and Passion, just kind of some good old, you know, rock trying to verge itself to, I'm not gonna say metal, but you know, kind of the hard rock of the hair band days type thing. But really good album. I mean, really enjoyed it. Some good stuff on there. So there you go, VC. Just kind of a, you know, few recent finds type things. Some things I've been listening to recently. And I'm sure I'll be back pretty soon to post something else. Probably, again, the next one will be the room tour, or maybe even a box set video. I haven't done that in quite some time. So, all right, thanks, VC, and we'll talk to you guys later.